Tim Dillon is a comedian, very funny, and someone with extremely high verbal intelligence, one of the highest verbal intelligence people I've ever seen, where he can speak off the cuff and speak very intelligently and make all kinds of funny points and funny analogies in a very intelligent way. I don't agree with everything he says, but very recently he made a clip. He didn't make a clip. The Joe Rogan podcast made a clip of him speaking, and the clip went viral, and it's about the collapse of the United States. Yay! So let's see what Tim Dillon has to say, and I will comment as we go along.
What we have to realize is that we're Americans. You know, we're deeply selfish monsters that have been bred to destroy all life on Earth. We have to not lose sight of that message. We're here to fuck things up for everyone else, not each other. And that's what we had in the 80s and the 90s. We had a commitment to apathy while our leaders ran around pillaging the earth. And we made great movies and great art, and it was fine. Yes, people got killed, but people always get killed. But now we're at war with each other. We should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Truly. We should be enjoying it. So many people got killed, murdered, tortured, maimed for us to have all the nice things we have. Do you know how insane it is to not enjoy it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's making a joke, and everything he is discussing, I completely politically disagree with. So I've been on record. I've been saying this for 20 years. YouTube videos, my blogs before that, publicly before that, when I used to do a lot of public speaking. I am against every war America has been involved in since World War II. And those are a lot of damn wars. And even with World War II, I have serious problems with what America did in that war. So I am largely a pacifist. War is only something that occurs or should occur when someone actually sends tanks or planes over the border into your country and you defend yourself. Then war makes sense. But what he's talking about here, what is he referring to here? He's referring to the fact that Americans all hate each other. Reason number 5 that I left the United States was because I was tired of living in a country where everyone in that country hates each other. America is at a point now where even in the 1960s, it wasn't as bad as people on the left and right and other places hating each other. There was a survey that just came out in the United States where people are okay with anyone living next door to them if they are gay, if they're transgender, if they're other race, if they're other ethnicity, if there are various other factors, and they all said, oh, that's perfectly fine. But if that person disagrees with me politically, I don't want to live next to them. Fuck them. That's never happened in the United States, and it's getting worse. And that's what he's referring to.
You know how crazy it is to not enjoy a McMansion, a flat screen TV, a McFlurry? You know how much blood is in the street for those things? And people act like they don't even matter. And they're fighting about all this bullshit. It's crazy. Anyway, that's the truth. That's the real truth. Nobody wants to hear it, but that is the truth. We have a lot of these things are nice, but some of them are ill-gotten gains. Fine. You know, not everybody picking tomatoes is happy about it, but have you ever had a nice Jersey thick beef steak tomato? It's good. Imagine having one and then fighting with someone about something. It's stupid.
Now, I agree with him. It is stupid to fight over politics when, and he gets to this in a few minutes, when politics of the United States is now irrelevant. I've done numerous videos on this. I've done at least 2 or 3 podcasts on this topic where voting for certain people or certain parties isn't going to fix a goddamn thing. So not only do Americans hate each other, and that's bullshit, but they hate each other for a reason you can't even fix. The only way you can fix the political problems in America today, the only way you can do this, and by the way, it's not just America. This applies to Canada, lots of Western European countries, and other countries too in the Western world. The only way you can fix America is by breaking it up into several different countries. Give the Trump supporters their own country, give the Bernie Sanders supporters their own country, give the moderate right-wingers, moderate left-wingers their own country. I actually did an article about this many years ago. That's the only way you could do it. But staying in the same country and sharing the same country with a bunch of people who absolutely hate you because you disagree with them politically, which is the dumbest thing on earth, and try to fix that by voting in other politicians that 50% of the population hates, it's literally a no-win scenario, and this is why America is a no-win scenario.
If there's a hell world going, and if there's not, we get reincarnated when we're Beatles or something. But just enjoy it, and nobody wants to enjoy it. And that's what makes me upset, is that we used to have a country built on enjoyment, built on fat, stupid people enjoying the work of a small group of demons, and now we can't even enjoy it. Can't even have fun.
That would be the only way to get us out of this.
That's right.
If we ever realize that the problems that we have with issues are far smaller than the problems or the issues that we agree on. Like, everybody agrees we have to have less crime. Everybody agrees that we have to have more education. Everybody agrees that we have to have safer streets and safer cities. Everybody agrees that.
That's right.
And the things that we disagree on, will people...
Okay, let me comment on that, because He's right, but there's a problem with that. I've talked about this a lot when I used to talk about politics, is that Americans actually agree on the macro on more things they realize, and these are bad things. For example, how many Americans as a voting bloc, a large percentage of Americans or a plurality of Americans, would vote someone out of office if they didn't cancel all the wars? The answer is none. There are individual people like me who are against this, but Trump supporters, Obama supporters, George Bush supporters, Joe Biden supporters, if there is such a thing, these people just kind of don't mind that America's in 6, 7 different wars right now and has been since Obama's early years. And even in Bush's time, we were in 2 different wars, both of which we shouldn't have gone in the first place. Well, Afghanistan, we should have gone there, but we only needed 6 months there. Iraq, we should have never done. Americans are largely, if not pro-war, they're not anti-war. They don't really care. Here's another thing. I've shown stats on this in my blogs. Most Republican voters, Trump supporters, want more big government programs. They want more welfare state spending. They want free government health care. And so in that respect, they agree with the left-wingers whom they hate. So believe it or not, Americans are in agreement on a lot of things that are actually bad.
We'll disagree on like how to make those things a reality, though. Yeah. How do you have less crime? Is it by letting
it's also
people out of jail?
Us being divided helps. It helps people who want to just continually operate in the system as it's constructed, and whether that is the system of perpetual war or the system of the
perpetual war. Americans really don't mind, and I mean this. How many Trump supporters, I should say, were screaming at Trump that he didn't end any of the wars? 0. How many Obama supporters, when Obama was president for 8 years, really screamed loudly that he was drone striking literally thousands upon thousands of civilians all over the planet? Virtually nobody. That's what I said. Perpetual war is now a thing that Americans are perfectly fine with.
The banking sector.
By the way, regardless of how much money it costs them, it's trillions of dollars a year if you're an American that you're spending in your tax dollars to be the world's police officer and bomb a bunch of people who've never done anything bad to you.
The dominance of the financial sector or the system is tech companies set up to have these political relationships, how they're presently constituted. People who are thriving in this system and using it to their ends do not want it changed. And people hating each other helps them.
Correct. Exactly right. I've said this many times. The elites want you to fight about politics. Whenever the elites who run the world, these are the top 10,000, maybe 15,000 people who run the Western world, and maybe you could say the top 25,000 people who run the entire world. Whenever they see Trump supporters and left-wingers screaming at each other about something stupid like Roe v. Wade or transgender bathrooms or whether or not to build a wall, the elites give each other high fives. Awesome. Thank God they're yelling at each other and they're not yelling at us. So you're falling into this trap that the elites want you to fall in. When you Trump supporters attack the woke people, or when you left-wingers attack the evil Trump supporters, the racists and things like that, you're operating under the elites' playbook. You're literally following along with what the elites want to do.
It definitely does. Do you think that that's just human nature?
Yes.
And you're just doing it while this is happening? Or do you think it's orchestrated? This is the question, right? Is the dissent, and is some of it, we know it's manipulated by other countries.
Yes.
We know that China does it. We know that they have these huge Russian organizations that in their troll farms.
Yeah.
You know, we know that that's going on.
That's accurate. Americans fall for it. Yeah, that's accurate.
The idea that we wouldn't do that to ourselves if we were trying to get people riled up about each other.
To an extent, it's probably an inherent flaw in democracy, but I'm glad I lived in one, and I'm glad I lived in the time I did. But I do think, you know, a democracy kind of descends probably into an oligarchy eventually. The vast majority of the citizens go, I don't want the responsibility of citizenship. So a few really highly motivated psychopaths go, we'll handle it. We'll take it from here. And then those people are fighting over their own interests.
Democracies always eventually end up as some other forms of government. He is absolutely right. Democracies almost always end up as oligarchies. I'm against democracy. I've written several articles on my blog about this. Democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what to eat for dinner. One of the beauties of living in Dubai is that it's not a democracy. Number one, I could talk a lot about that, but it's outside the scope of this video. I have shown that historically over the last 50 years, the most free countries, or at least the least unfree countries, are not democracies, as Westerners understand them. Hong Kong and Singapore, over the last 40, 50 years, have been the least unfree countries in the world, and neither of these are democracies as Westerners understand them. Democracy or freedom, pick one.
Constantly?
Do you think it should be illegal to pretend to represent a human being when you're a corporation that is promoting your own needs. So do you think that like a corporation that hires, whether it's a foreign corporation, let's say it's a foreign one, so it's not connected to us, that hires a company to propagandize about a specific political issue that's going to be a hot button target, and they do it as a bunch of people that attack people and go after people with dissenting opinions and quote tweet them and attack them, and you find out it's not even a real person.
Right.
That should be illegal. That seems to me like if we're allowing that in this country.
Oh yeah, but we'll continue to allow anyone with enough money.
Right, but don't you think that thing right there, just that's insidious. Like pretending you're a person for a specific propaganda game and having it like 1,000 accounts and you're running it through computers and you've got people that are responding to things. You got people that are just retweeting things and posting things, and it's all just propaganda.
It's insane that
I have no really strong comment or opinion on that, but Tim Dillon's about to get on his epic rant. It's about to start.
Congress, the Congress members who went and started trading stocks based on the knowledge of how bad coronavirus was still have jobs, right? All of this is kind of...
Right. Who gets thrown into jail? Who in Congress has been thrown into jail who profited off the cerveza sickness? I said 20 years ago, who in Congress, how many government officials were thrown in jail after 9/11? Either for corruption or in gross incompetence. How many? None.
Insane. We're just at peak insanity here.
By the way, let me add to that. Congress has a 92% reelection rate. Last time I checked the numbers. Congress has an 8% approval rating, but a 92% reelection rate. What does that tell you? It means, number one, that the system is manipulated. And it means, number two, American voters have just lost their fucking minds.
And there's, I mean,
are we at the peak?
I don't know if we're at the peak, but we're close to it. Like I do believe with the way things are going, and you're looking at some really crazy trends, and I don't know when they come to a conclusion, and if they do, without something, a war or some violent or whatever. But like it is just, we're living in a time now where we all know everything's fucked, but we're mostly powerless to change it.
You know what? That's Trump supporters. And that is a significant difference between Trump supporters and hardcore left-wingers. And I had many conversations with Trump supporters when Trump was president, both online and in person. And the Trump supporters ranted like maniacs throughout 2016, 2017, 2018. Oh my God, Trump is going to make America great again. Oh my God, he's fucking great. Look at his tweets. His tweets are so amazing. Look at the Young Turks election night video. Oh, the left wing is so mad. I'm going to come. And if you actually ask these guys, do you, away from the internet, away privately, if you actually had a conversation with a typical Trump supporter who said he's going to make America great again and build a wall and lock Hillary up, blah, 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 all these stupid shit that I said wasn't going to happen in 2016 and it didn't. And if you said to these people, and I did, do you really think he's actually going to make America great again? Honestly, is that your honest assessment? You know what most Trump supporters would say, what they told me? They go, no, you're probably right, Caleb. America's probably fucked. But this sure is fun, right? Now, the Trump supporters aren't going to say that publicly. They wouldn't say in 2016, 2017, vote for Donald Trump because he can't save America, but this sure is fun to make the left-wingers angry. They don't say that. Instead, they lied, and they said he's going to make America great again. He's going to bring back the manufacturing jobs. He's going to build a wall. They lied. Now, this is the opposite to left-wingers. So if you ask a Bernie Sanders supporter, okay, or any one of the parallels you have in both Canada and Europe, especially Western Europe, where they're more left-wing, if you ask one of those people, do you really think Bernie Sanders is going to level the playing field and tax all the billionaires and give all the poor people all this free money and give you free cell phones and free college and free healthcare, free this, free that? You know what they'll say? They'll say, oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, he'll do it. And we found out how wrong they were when Bernie Sanders basically transformed into Joe Biden's campaign manager during the election. But that's my point. So as I've said many times before, the left is insane and or delusional. The right are liars. And so these are the two people you have in terms of the narrative of the United States and most of the Western world. Is there a good side? Which side do you want? To me, neither. I'd rather just leave and be happy.
And that's when society starts to decay past a point, and everybody just kind of sits back and watches it like a show, and it just descends into eventually something that becomes more and more unmanageable. And
watching it like a show. So George Carlin said this 20 years ago. I have front row seats to watch the biggest collapse of the biggest empire in the history of the world, the United States. And he looked at it as a positive. Boy, is this going to be fun. Get your popcorn, folks. This will be great. That was kind of his attitude. America has become kind of a show. It's become kind of a Saturday Night Live parody of itself. I mean, my God, Donald Trump being president, Donald Trump running against Hillary Clinton, just that alone is a Saturday Night Live sketch.
And then either a strongman dictator type comes in, or there's some massive war that resets things, or there's some natural disaster. But it feels like we're kind of at that point, you know? That's why I'm glad we lived in the era that we lived. And we really should just be happy. We should be really happy. We should go, it's nice that we got the run we did, because it's not getting better.
You know what's interesting about that? I heard a quote, I forget who said it just recently. It was someone in my generation. I'm Generation X. The generation that no one talks about. Everyone talks about boomers and millennials and Gen Z. For some reason, no one talks about us Gen Xers. I don't know why that is. It's very strange. But anyway, I guess we don't make a spectacle of ourselves. But anyway, I heard someone say, Generation X, my generation, is the last generation that enjoyed our childhoods and our adolescence. And I thought about that. I went, you know what? That's true. And how horrible is that? Because I loved my childhood and I loved my adolescence, and I had a relatively shitty childhood and not a very great adolescence. And even I had a great time because it was the 80s, because it was fucking great. And yes, I am literally the last generation who actually enjoyed our childhoods and adolescence. Did the millennials enjoy their childhood and adolescence? No. Gen Z, are they enjoying their childhood and adolescence? Oh my God, no. And God knows what'll happen with the generation after Gen Z. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. So I am very thankful that I was part of the last happy generation. I think about that a lot, actually, especially lately. It's sad, but it's very true.
I mean, here's what's interesting.
Or maybe it will, and God bless.
When I was a kid, I remember reading about like the fall of the Roman Empire and the fall of the Greek Empire. And then I was thinking about America. Yeah. And I was like, is this thing going to go away someday?
Right, right.
Is that possible? Is it possible that this is just one? I mean, we want to think it's fucking permanent, but I bet the people of Rome felt the same way.
Of course they did.
This is how.
Yeah, it can't happen here. America, America will do just fine. We'll do okay. Well, Caleb, it hasn't collapsed yet. I see a lot of irrational, emotional comments on my content. Well, Caleb, all we have to do is this and this, and America will be fine. Oh, I think America will do just fine. Everyone thinks America will do fine forever. And every empire that has collapsed, there's been 8 or 9 throughout history. It's thought the exact same thing.
Oh, it is. This is how I live every day. This is not going to change.
Right.
And Russians know.
They know.
They know. They know it. They've been through it.
Our society will go down. Nothing will ever be funnier. America will come apart in one of the funniest ways. All of these people, these grifters, everybody circling the wagons, the Caitlyn Jenners, the Donald Trumps. It'll be funny till you'll die laughing. Literally, you'll die, but you will be laughing. It will be the most absurd and insane thing. It will be out of a fucking dystopian horror movie, and no, it won't be funnier than America, because we're a crazy country full of crazy people, and everybody's just trying to suck the last few dollars out of this bloated pig corpse of an empire. Before,
what have I been saying for at least the past, I would say, 6 years? Enjoy the decline. Make the money you need to make to save yourself and your family while the getting is good. Yes, this company's sovereign CEO makes money because America is collapsing. In 2020, my investments did over 140% return in 1 year because America is collapsing. Instead of screaming and ranting about how horrible it all is, or instead of denying it, saying, oh, it'll be fine, like left-wingers do, or instead of trying to find a messiah like Trump who can't save it, well, everything will be fine, we just vote for him again. Instead of doing those things, benefit, exploit the collapse. As long as you don't lie or do anything illegal, those are my 2 rules. I can't lie to you, I can't do anything illegal. Other than those 2 rules, make as much money as you can while you still can from the collapsing Western world. Why not do that?
The end. And I'm no different. Watch my special and subscribe to my pod. What am I going to fucking sit here? What am I going to go preach on a fucking mountain? We got to make a little money here. But make no mistake, I mean, if I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, but if your attitude or your idea...
Really quick about that. He goes, I may be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I'm not. But people have asked me, Caleb, what happens? You hold this 5 flags, you move out of the country, and America stays alive, and it prospers economically and goes for another 300 years. Aren't you going to feel kind of stupid? No, that would be perfect. For me to live outside the United States and pay 4% total taxes and benefit from an economic boom from the United States is the actual ideal scenario. I would love to not live in the United States, keep my taxes very low, and have the United States prosper economically. I would make tons of money doing that. So that would be great. And as I've said 10,000 times, you can always move back. If America somehow, this isn't going to happen or very unlikely to occur. If America somehow just turns this around because somebody invents some new technology, because that's the only thing that will save America at this point. You can't save America politically. That ship sailed at least 20 years ago. You can't, there's no one you can vote for anymore. But if somebody invents something and America becomes this paradise, or America balkanizes and breaks up lots of little countries, and at least one or two of these little countries become like hardcore, libertarian, pro-free markets, pro-property rights, ultra-low taxes, not unlimited free speech, then I might consider moving back. Sure. Is that likely to happen? No, but I can. It's not like you move out and you're stuck forever. So it's fine if I'm wrong. I'm not wrong, but I'm good either way.
Is that the population is going to get smarter, healthier, and more adept at problem solving. You're on fucking crack.
If you didn't catch what he said there, if you think the population is going to get smarter and better at problem solving over the next few decades, you're... Do you realize, I suggest you look this up, IQs in developing nations have been dropping since the 70s. Every decade, Westerners get more stupid. And if you don't believe me, look it up. I'm going to do a video soon where I go through all the statistics of the collapsing Western world. And that's one of them I'm throwing in there. Westerners get dumber and dumber and dumber every year. Whereas people in emerging market countries, their IQs are either rising or staying the same. It's just Westerners that are getting dumber. And they're going to keep getting dumber. Watch.
Oh, yeah, probably. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But what happens next? Like, do you think we ever descend into some sort of like CCP controlled world? Like that kind of totalitarian government? Do you think it's possible that through technology and just through people just falling apart, getting losing their fucking minds, thinking it's the right thing to do?
I think what happens next is we'll just have, you know, these giant oscillating swings between right and left. And then I think, you know, eventually it'll get to a point where large areas in the country are unlivable for...
Accurate. I mean, we're almost there. Los Angeles is de facto unlivable. Portland, Oregon's becoming de facto unlivable. Many parts of the East Coast are becoming unlivable, are livable now. There are regions of many cities in the United States that are literally unlivable. Well, I've talked about this on this channel. True.
For a myriad of reasons, perhaps crime or homelessness, climate, whatever. Very, you know, well-off or well-connected people will have these kind of enclaves that are, this is already happening. And then there'll be, you know, a fight to be in one of those two groups. And then eventually a dictator, a strong man, somewhere down the line, some man or woman will come in and go, this system's fucked. I am going to run things, and they will run things in a way, and it probably won't be for the best, but like the system will collapse. But I don't know if we'll see it, but it will collapse.
So he's talking about the strongman scenario. If you watch this video up there, I cover the 6 possibilities, the 6 ways in which the Western world collapses. And one of those 6 is totalitarianism, where a strong man or a strong woman takes power, runs everything. And I said in that video, and I will double down on this, I don't think that is the most likely scenario. I think there are other scenarios that are much more likely than that, but that could happen. I just think it's one of the less likely scenarios. If you want more details on that, watch that video.
There's no way it doesn't. It will collapse to a degree. And someone will come in and go, yeah, these elections are all fake and it doesn't matter anyway. Why do you fuckers need to vote? Here's a coupon for a chicken sandwich. And people go, I like chicken. And then, you know, people just go, fuck it. They don't care. And then you go, there'll be Netflix and there'll be Domino's and you'll sit in your house and they'll say, well, you can't drive today because of the climate. And people go, yeah, it's Tuesday. Can't get in my car because of climate. And you'll sit there and they'll feed you poison and you'll watch TV. And a few people will riot, but very few, because most people will be pacified by the goodies, which they'll still probably have.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right about that. Most people are sheep. Most men are beta males. Then you have women who largely and statistically agree with collectivism, socialism, authoritarian government. Yes, he's right about that. And yes, you'll always have a few protesters. Won't accomplish a goddamn thing. I've already talked about that in great detail. Protests don't solve anything. You'll have a few of them, but most people won't. Most people will just be very docile and just take this. He's accurate about this. And every year, by the way, that segment of the population grows. This docile, low testosterone, low IQ beta male. And the woman equivalent of that too gets more and more prevalent in society.
And, you know, the leader will come on and tell, like, well, they'll be like, hello, everyone. And you'll go, hey, there you go. And it'll be a celebrity. It'll be someone you know. It'll be someone you're very familiar with.
You know what the theory is? A theory I've heard is it'll be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So it isn't, and this isn't silly. I mean, you know, in 2012, you said Donald Trump's going to be the next president. People would have laughed. No one would have bought that shit, right? Even in 2015, no one bought that, right? So it is entirely likely, not likely, it is entirely possible, well within the realm of possibility. We're not talking about 2% rule. We're talking about, you know, double-digit percentage points that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will be president of the United States at some point down the road, or someone like that. And people, it'll just be normal by the time that happens. Like I said, America has become a caricature of itself.
And they'll say a couple of things and be like, it's not that bad, is it? And they go, no, it's not that bad. And they'll feed you the propaganda, and you won't remember when you were free, and you won't remember. And most people will be fine with that, but me and you will be dead. And it won't matter.
So now here's the thing. You don't have to be dead. You can leave the country. You can generate location-independent income so that you're not stuck. You're not tethered to the collapsing USA or cuckoo Canada or suicidal Europe or authoritarian Australia. You have other options other than just be a slave or be dead. I'm not going to be a slave. I never will be, and I won't be dead. I'll be doing just fine because I follow these sovereign CEO models.
You know, and we'll have experienced the best of it. We'll remember when you could get in a car without a tracking device. We'll remember when you didn't have a fucking tracking device attached to you at all times. We'll remember when you could say what the fuck you want, alienate people, piss them off, and no one really cared, and it didn't matter because you could wake up the next day and say, sorry, I was drunk, and it wasn't on fucking Twitter. People didn't have a record of what you did and what you said and where you were and who you fucked and everything else. We will remember true freedom. We're one of the last groups of people to actually be free.
He's right. He's right. Especially if you're Generation X like me. You're one of the last generations of free people, of free Westerners in the world. And in a way, whatever freedom you have now is the most freedom you will ever experience. Even Peter Zeihan, who thinks that America is going to prosper, has said that the best year in the typical Westerner's life was 2019. And it's all downhill from here. So even he is saying this. It's true.
And we should all thank God for that, because the hellscape that's about to be created is going to be so bad, they won't even know how bad it is. It won't even feel like they're in prison. Because those offices we talked about, people, they get to like them. Oh, there's creamer today. French vanilla, it's your favorite. It's coming. It's coming, and it's going to be so bad, it won't even feel bad. But we'll be like, shit. Remember when you could do all those things you can't do anymore. Right. But, you know, and there'll be a few people that remember it, and then they'll take all those books about that shit and burn the fuck out of them. They'll go, well, those aren't good. Racism, homophobia, it's like burn, burn, burn. And people will forget.
Now, again, he's operating under the assumption of the left-wing totalitarian. That's one possible scenario. There are many other scenarios, at least 4 or 5 other ones. There's also the possibility of a right-wing totalitarian. You could have a Trump-type figure run the world, or run the Western world, or run the United States. But you could also have a Hillary Clinton, a faux left-winger, run the country. Doesn't matter. And there, again, there are other scenarios besides totalitarianism, but that's kind of the example he's running with, which is pretty funny.
When you were free, and they will just kind of create a society based on goodies, little rewards, and the addiction to celebrity, where our leaders will all be celebrities who will tell you on closed-circuit television how good things are going. And you'll go, good, thanks. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with most of what he said. I think it's interesting that when you know, I'll end with this. Years ago, I was one of the few crackpots saying America's going to collapse. And people said, huh? Why? You're stupid. Everything's fine. Now you have mainstream figures saying this. Robert Kiyosaki just said this a year or two ago. He was in an interview, and he said, well, so America's going to collapse. He just said, yeah, America's going to collapse for years. And the interviewer said, well, what can we do to prevent the collapse? He goes, nothing. Yeah. So when you have more mainstream people who are realizing the path that America is on, regardless of if you reelect Donald Trump or anyone else, that's got to tell you something. And there's plenty of data I have at my blogs. There will be more data on this channel. If this is interest to you, you can subscribe to this channel if you want more data on this. But the issue is to realize and to admit that America is collapsing, so then you are more likely to take action. In Alcoholics Anonymous, the very first step is what? Admit you're an alcoholic. So step 1 is to admit America's fucked. There's nothing you can do about it. When I say America, I mean the collapsing trifecta, America, Canada, and Europe. These countries are fucked. These regions are fucked. There's nothing you can do about it. save yourself, get your location-dependent income, move out of the country, or at least set up an international backup plan to protect yourself and your family so that when this happens, you're okay. Very, very simple. I'll see you in the next video. Have fun. Bye.